Every council meeting of the month at 7 p.m. I need a motion to call the meeting to order.
I'll make a motion to convene.
Second.
I second.
This time we'll do the invocation and see. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Boone, you care to do the invocation for us, sir? I can give him the mic or something here.
Let me pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the opportunity once again to come before you to do business that hopefully is pleasing in your sight. We ask Lord that all the decisions that are made ultimately good for the benefit of the people of Stockbridge and are pleasing in your sight. Lord, bless these proceedings as they go forth, knowing that even though we have different opinions, once again, to the betterment of Stockbridge is the goal. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
We all rise and we'll do the pledge of allegiance.
Adoption of the agenda. I think we're going to amend the agenda.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Number one on the adoption of the agenda, under new business, we'd like to bring forward a resolution to move the work session and regular council meeting back to 6 o'clock p.m.
Where's that?
That's I'm just giving you the adoption. And then number two, I would like to take this opportunity to save us a little time and engross all of the minutes that are before us. There's quite a few. We can do that in one unit with one vote. And then also number three, Mr. George Oxhurst was contacting me today and asked that we remove him from presenting tonight. And number four, under committee meeting updates, we might remove that due to shortage of being able to evaluate resolution information.
Would you would Mark please run that one more time? So one is to amend.
Number one, we're going to add, with council support, we're going to add the resolution amending the work session and the regular meeting times back to 6 o'clock.
And this is number one.
That's under new business, yes, sir. And number two, engrossing of all the adoption of the minutes, so we can vote on one vote instead of multiple times. As stated, George Oxhurst contacted me and asked me to be removed. And number four, on page 3, committee meetings and updates.
Maybe meeting updates to you.
Yes.
Okay. With those amendments to it, I have a second.
I second.
Question?
Yes, sir. Mr. Cochran Councilman Cochran has asked that we consider also moving our meetings, work sessions and regular sessions back to Monday at 6 o'clock. I apologize, I missed that detail. Thank you, Harold, for clarifying that.
So your number one will be to move it to 1800 versus 6 p.m. and on Mondays, both of them.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, do I have a second?
I've already seconded.
No. Okay.
Okay, a second.
Okay. Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Opposed? Okay. With that being said, let's see, the next thing on that would be the presentation of Memorial March certificates. We come around the front and read those off to whoever we got. This is a follow-up to what we did on the last working session where we gave out some certificates to different businesses and private people that supported our Memorial Day March. And we wanted to recognize them for their work and stuff. They did some. I have to apologize to Clarence Boone here that he was here. We forgot to give the certificate to him last time. But, so you're the first on the agenda. If you would come on up and your organization here representing the Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated, Stockbridge Alumni Chapter, the Kappa Fraternity. We have the company is Wash Me Fast. All right.
Brian Bonner.
Okay, we appreciate it. Sarah, let me picture everybody together. Then we have, you're a geek. Your geek is here. Okay. Okay, so who's your geek here? Okay. Navy Federal Credit Union, Stockbridge branch. All right. Your name?
Angela Johnson.
Angela Johnson. Thank you very much. Then we have Plant Heating and Air. I guess he's out working on getting our air burning. Okay, that's one who have to sit there. These people here reached into their pockets and turned money, and that helps reduce the cost of the city's activities that we turn around and do as well. We appreciate it very much, and I guarantee we'll be coming after you all some more to keep supporting because it's not the cities, it's the citizens that live in that. You guys stepping forward, setting an example with the other citizens. We appreciate it very much. Are you able to get a still photo of that from around? Everybody, we'll all get here practice. I want to send you all photos of it. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. I apologize. We have heating and air, not heat problem. We got an air problem, so we'll try and get through this as quick as we can for you. We have that motion to consolidate all the minutes of June the 5th special call, June the 5th working session, June the 11th council meeting, June the 14th special call meeting, June the 21st special call meeting, June the 28th special call meeting, and June the 28th working session. The only one that I noted on there, there's probably other corrections, but we tried to get them correct, was on the June the 5th, on the third page, from the bottom down there. It says, the Mayor still requested guidance from Mr. Bill Linkus, the City Attorney's Office. When you go down to the, Mr. Linkus stated that his opinion would be to use it as not pro route salary, but pro rata. I believe is what you really meant about that. Bill, Jack, that's probably what he meant, pro rata, not pro route.
I would agree with that.
So it's just an error, that's the only, and I'm not that good on spelling, that's why I got drafted. And with that, everyone had hopefully had a chance to review all the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve all the minutes and vote.
And I'll second.
And I said, welcome to everybody here. We were trying to get through this as quick as we can tonight on here. We don't have that many items on here. We got to get through, so appreciate you coming. And we will go to the first order of business. Is under old business, item number 1, presented by Nicole Vasquez, the city clerk. It's the veto ordinance amending the code of ordinance as to substitute the city administrator for the city manager as to bank accounts and check signing. That should be number 1 in your books.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This ordinance was vetoed on May 24th and presented to the council on June 11th. I was informed that this ordinance needs to be brought back to the council at the next general meeting, this one. It would take the vote of the entire council for this to become law. So, I'll bring it back to you guys.
And again, we discussed it before, we actually go through this. Council, do you have a motion to pass, to override the mayor's veto?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Applicant.
if I would, I would like to take this opportunity to disagree with council. Ms. Vasquez, if you would please, anyone that's interested in these documents is more than welcome to review them as we go along. As you will see in these documents, there was a lawsuit, and a settlement agreement, and we have done our very best to move forward under the ramifications of this settlement agreement. You will view that there's codified and non-codified ordinances and pieces. You'll also notice that the old council and the mayor's signatures on the settlement agreement. He also did not, the mayor did not issue an override veto of the other 2 codified ordinances. So I am not going to, like Mr. Mayor is saying, it's a little bit warm this evening, but I have had lengthy conversations with our council and past council in regards to this. I find it very disheartening and disappointing that though there's been an agreement reached, there's been $50,000+ returned to the mayor. He continues to give us a difficult time when it comes to the vetoing aspect of it. And actually, it's a VETO, Mr. Mayor, it's not E. But I just want to go on record that this council does not agree with the position. There has been no judgment, no judge, no courtroom has overturned the first lawsuit, which he has been gainfully paid for his effort and financial inconveniences. We thought we had a resolution so we could move forward and do business, but like I said, the interjection by the mayor, by the clerk, at the behest of the city attorney, clearly states that we are not giving support, that this document is not going to change anything. But I want the citizens to have these documents, and please, don't hesitate to call me or anyone on this council in regards to this lawsuit and why he, the mayor, will not allow the city to move forward under the agreement written here. Why sign these documents? Why do all this settlement agreement spend hundreds of thousands of dollars if you had no intention of truly implementing the documents in which this paper was written on this paper? So with that said, I just wanted to make sure that you had more documents. And there's more documents. There's more substantiating facts. I'd be more than happy to elaborate on it. But I want to make sure that y'all have a little piece of actual facts instead of fiction before we move forward. Thank you.
Anybody else? I would just say on that there, I will have no comment on the settlement as advised by legal counsel until things are, so you can take the facts what it's worth. That's one man's opinion, and that's what America's about, their opinions.
The facts are here.
Very much.
Absolutely here.
Okay, do I have a motion to override the veto?
No motion to override veto. So I'll put the vote whether. Okay, so this, what we write the rule is, Jack, is no vote? So it's no vote, okay. Thank you. We'll move to item number 2, presented by Nicole Vasquez, City Clerk. Veto ordinance amending the code of ordinance so as to add the offense of criminal trespass. Item number 2 in your book.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This ordinance was vetoed on June 15th. Same applies for the section 3.23 of the charter. Ordinance vetoed by the mayor shall be presented by the city clerk to the city council at its next meeting. And should the city council then or at its next general meeting adopt the ordinance by an affirmative vote for the entire council, it shall become law.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Bush.
I would like for the clerk to read your veto to the citizens of Stockbridge, please.
Say again.
I would like for the clerk to read your veto to the citizens of Stockbridge, please.
Go ahead.
The mayor veto as of 15 June 2012. Item number 6 presented by Councilwoman Bushman at the 11th June 2012 regular meeting of the Stockbridge City Council titled Ordinance Number 12-275. An ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances, the City of Stockbridge, Florida, so to add the offense of criminal trespass, to repeal conflicting ordinances, to provide an effective date, and for other purposes is hereby vetoed by my executive powers as mayor of Stockbridge. I conducted an in-depth research and interviewed several professional legal employees of the city and found that the municipal court judge and municipal court solicitor never asked the council members to pass this ordinance. I learned from our city attorney, Bill Linkus, that our municipal court clerk was the one who initiated the request. I asked Mr. Linkus to do some research of other surrounding communities to see what their position was on passing of a similar criminal trespassing ordinance. He found that a large majority of surrounding municipalities do not have an ordinance as requested. They have it prosecuted at state court level. After discussion with the council members Steinberg, Bushman, and Allenheim, I learned that they wanted it passed more as a political vendetta against someone for putting stickers on their mailboxes. I believe it is in the best interest of the city to not pass laws for political vendetta and to let the state courts handle it as they have in the 100+ years of Stockbridge. When I talked with the Henry County Police Department, they could not find any statistical data to show this is a problem in Stockbridge or any trends of it throughout the county. I believe the state courts have demonstrated they are the proper agency to handle these types of offenses. Thus, I exercise my veto of this ordinance this 15th day of June 2012, 4 days after the city council passed it on the 11th day of June 2012. Respectfully, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Bushman.
first of all, I'd like the citizens to know in Stockbridge there's no personal vendetta. It is prosecuted at the state court level. The clerk of the court handled it correctly, took it to our attorneys, and then brought it before the committee meeting. The happening of the mailboxes coincided with this. This is a prime example of why we needed this. There was several discussions going back and forth with our city attorney, and our city attorney found out today that the city of Stockbridge could pass such an ordinance. There was concerns that it was about children. Well, children 14 and 16-year-olds go to juvenile court. So the fact that he states that it's a personal vendetta, I want to go on record that it has nothing to do with anything.
Mayor Stewart. I would also like to echo Ms. Bushman's sentiments in 2 parts. First of all, this was brought forth by the clerk of the court. It did not originate with anybody here on council. Second of all, you indicate here that after discussion with council members Steinberg, Bushman, and Alacon, I respectfully submit that you had no conversation with me whatsoever. I can't speak for Mr. Alacon and Ms. Bushman, but there was no conversation between us on the subject whatsoever.
Well, I disagree with you, but you're entitled to your view. If you not, go ahead. Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, sir.
Again, I would state, go ahead, Mr. Allen.
I just want to be very clear that I, too, along with Mr. Steinberg, I cannot speak for Mr. Bushman. Mr. Mayor, you are blatantly lying. Sir, you want to tell me you spoke to me about this in any way, form, or fashion. And the language in here is appalling, because this offense did not happen to Mark Allen's residence, nor my business. You said on their mailbox. I had nothing to do with that. I didn't bring it forward. You never spoke to me. You never emailed me. This is, you're going to throw the veto. But I asked that you strike my name from this statement, because that's an outright lie, sir. You could never look me in the eye, sir, tell me you spoke to me and tell me when.
I spoke to you.
You did. You are a great liar, sir.
Thank you for your comment.
You got it.
Thank you. Anybody else? And again, I go back to the same rationale of vetoing it because the vast majority of the courts leave it at the state level. It's not a problem here. It's not been that big of a problem, and we're going to continue. That's why I would stand by it. Now, we have a motion to override that veto.
With the striking of my name, sir.
We have a motion to override the striking of his name.
I so move. And I request that my name be stricken as well.
Do we have a second? We have okay, any more discussion? Mr. Allen, that's your motion.
Mr. Mayor?
Correction. Mr. Allen,
It's my motion to have my name under the statute.
okay, now discussion, Ms. Bush.
I will say that on emails back and forth with Henry County Police Department, you were made aware of the incident right off the bat. And there was discussion in emails between you and I and the police department when the police department, Henry County Police Department, was discussing the issue.
Any more discussion? Do we have a vote? All in favor of overriding the mayor's veto? With Alacon removed and Steinberg removed? So again, we have a no vote, correct? Okay. We have recorded. You got two motions. They're not voting.
The motion, sir, was to strike our name from the veto. That's a separate motion from actually the veto itself.
I did not hear a motion made to override the veto. Now, I may have missed it.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
Okay, so we have a motion.
The only thing that I heard Mr. Alacon request was, and subsequently Mr. Steinberg, that their names be stricken from the explanation within the veto. I don't believe that the council, with all due respect, has the authority to do that. I think you're the only one that can do that, and I would assume that they are asking you to do that based upon the explanations that they have given. But I don't believe that the council has the authority to do anything but either override or not.
Well, I'll have to take that in consideration and understand as it is. So this is a motion. This is not a motion to amend it.
You're the one who vetoed it. They can't amend the only thing that the council can do according to the charter is either override it or not. They can't amend your veto. And so
Okay, I'll tell you what we'll do, because I'm trying to get this, council. I'm going to go ahead and amend it to remove all the names from Bushman, Steinberg, and Alacon. I'd amend, can you get that? Remove all the names, but the veto stands as, can I do that? I remove all the names, but my position remains the same.
yes, sir. You don't have to give a reason for a veto under the charter.
People have bad memories of, I don't probably want worse than anybody memories, but I stand by my statement. So I would make the amendment that, so now do I make a motion that we amend the agenda, may I amend the ordinance with that?
I'm sorry, sir. Excuse me.
Do I need to do that?
I didn't
Make a motion to amend that, my veto with their name stricken?
They don't have to vote on that. You are the one who did the veto.
Okay.
So you can amend the veto in any manner that you see fit.
Okay. So that makes y'all have to remove your names from it? Okay.
Very much appreciate it.
Good, we got a consensus here. All right. so now Jeff Got is a no vote, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And under new business, item number 1, is this number? That's my copy of new business, that's number 3, where you said number 1. Under new business, number 1 is,
Number 1 would be a motion to go with our work session and our regular council meetings to 6 o'clock, and moving both of those back to Mondays. To make a motion to do those dates and re-advertise accordingly, so we are in accordance with the law.
how's that resolution?
We will be glad to prepare, it is a resolution, the code provides that the council can set its meeting dates by resolution. So we don't have a written document because we didn't know it's coming, but we will prepare one for signature.
Okay.
In accordance with the motion, if it passes.
If it passes.
Yes, sir.
So we have a motion by Mr. Alacon. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Discussion.
Mr. Thomas.
I oppose this change, Mr. Mayor and Council, simply because the reason why we changed it in the first place was to allow citizens to get off from work and to attend the regular council meeting. Just that simple.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the resolution to move the work session and regular meetings to the Monday of that week? And both Mondays. And at 18 and at 6 p.m. 6 p.m.
Mayor, I'm sorry, let me correct something. I just gave you bad advice, let me fix it. I just looked. The charter does require that it be done by ordinance, I'm sorry.
By no one.
It doesn't matter, but the only difference that makes is
He's
what.
making the motion.
If it passes and you don't veto it, then it will still have the same effect. We will prepare the ordinance, but section 3113A says that the city council shall hold regular meetings at such times and places as prescribed by ordinance.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if that's the case, I withdraw my motion because we know you're going to veto it. I don't want any part of the zoo run that we're doing through your veto of the ordinances, so I withdraw my motion.
So we already have a second, so. Okay, so that was a bad idea. Okay.
That's a good idea.
Well, so we withdraw. Okay, item number 2, Mark, we had was, you would, that's a note.
That was the, already done, sir, you approached the minutes earlier.
So, are we out of order here? Number 3 is the other new business, the consent agenda. That's the next item. Okay, so resolution authorizing city approve a payment of $10,416.67 for Norman Freeman, Mathis, and Gary. It was approved on the consent agenda by all 5 at that time. Do I have a motion to approve this one?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. I vote. Good. Okay, next is the Henry County Planning and Zoning, item number 4, presented by Henry County. It's a short-term work program update to 2012-2016 for the city of Stockford. I think Michael Harrison is here to present it for us, and that should be item number 4 in your books. We had it, they weren't able to be here at the work session that much on, but Michael can explain it to you more depth on here. Harold, I think you were at it. Who else was at it? Who else? Anyways, go ahead, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The 5-year short-term work program update is a compilation of projects that a city or a county intends to undertake in the course of a 5-year period. We've been doing this for a number of years. The purpose of this is to maintain, one of the reasons is to maintain our qualified local government status. This makes us continue to allow us to be eligible for a number of different grant opportunities on federal and state levels. What we've done in past years is again, it's more so it's a running list of projects that the city anticipates doing or accomplishing or considering during that 5-year window. We've taken the list from last year, we've gone through that list comprehensively, as you mentioned. County staff met with the mayor and Councilman Cochran, and as well as a number of city staff members to review the list and find out what projects are still viable, what projects might be postponed. It also addresses those projects that have been accomplished over the course of the last year. We know those as well. Every year we go through the same exercise, and again, we do it for a 5-year window. What we're proposing this evening is, what you have before you is a resolution requesting authorization to move forward with this list for the city of Stockbridge and identify those projects within that 5-year window that the city either intends to move forward with, or it's on maybe pending, or maybe it just gives the actual status of that project that may have been listed in prior years as well, and also lists those projects that have been completed during that 1-year period. Again, we go through this update every year as required by the DCA. We submit the plan to ARC. They forward on to DCA for their review. The reason why we're coming to you so at this point, they require a 90-day review period, so it has to be reviewed. It has to be submitted at least 90 days prior to the October 31st deadline. So Henry County will be moving forward with ours on July 17th. And so once we have the list from the city of Stockbridge, we'll compile that along with the county list, as well as the list from the city of Hampton, we'll met with them as well. And comprehensively, we'll submit it on ARC for their consideration.
Okay. And Michael, if you could explain, I had some questions that somebody had asked me the other day, and I'll make sure I'm correct. Those item number is not a priority number.
No, sir, they're not. They're just simply, usually we took the items, took the projects that were listed in the previous year, and a number of projects have dropped off. Some projects were completed, so they may have dropped off. So again, the item number as listed on the sheet does in no way indicate any type of priority that's been given to by the city.
And this has changed. We keep updating it every year.
That's right.
Some follow up, the ideas change or whatever. But again, we appreciate y'all doing that, because then that was some of that information that was not made available to exit with the former administrator, and I appreciate y'all having that, picking up the ball on us here, so we don't want to miss our suspense on that there. So anyone have any questions of Mr. Harris regarding the short-term work program? I believe we got a resolution. Approve that. Very time.
I thought there should have been a resolution asking for authorization to transmit the list onto the ARC.
Okay.
Jack, you make sure she has a copy.
Yeah. Turn to look at it and make copies. All of that is not in the book. I think this is one of those standard housekeeping things that everybody does every year with the resolution.
It is. That's what changed the date.
Does it look okay? Council, do I have a motion to approve the resolution for the short-term work program as Michael has presented?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
That's right.
Any more discussion? All in favor? 4, 5, 0. Okay, thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Jack, we'll get that resolution done. Make sure we get a copy of this. Okay, item number 5, resolutions agreement ordinance number 5 is presented by David Miller and the treasurer. Ordinance amending the city's 2012 budget so as to transfer $90,219 from the general fund balance to the administration budget to reflect agreement between the city and the Community Health Network for the delivery of the health management program for the period of July the 1st, 2012 through June 30th of 2013. Mr. Miller.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this is a piece of housekeeping. At your last voting meeting, as you recall, you authorized the mayor to enter into a agreement with the Community Health Network, which you did. Unfortunately, there was not a line item in your 2012 budget to engage and pay for that program. It's anticipated to cost approximately $40,000 in the first 12 months. Last year, proactively, there was money put aside, roughly the stated amount of $90,219 in anticipation of paying for the program, ultimately to save on health care by providing employees a wellness program. So this is simply adding a line item in your 2012 budget, allowing that money to be transferred to the general fund checking account into that line item, and then allowing you to draw against the invoices for that program.
So I have a motion to approve that ordinance.
I'll make a motion to approve it, to amend the budget, 490 to 19.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? 3-4-5-0. Thank you. And item number 6 is presented by Mayor Pro Tem Mark Alarcon, resolution adopting the Stockbridge Livable Centers Initiative Study of June 1st, 2012, and Caleb Rassick is here to answer any. We're not doing a presentation, as I got somebody asked. He's here to answer any questions. Mr. Alarcon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you stated, Caleb and his firm has done a 10-year update for our livable centers and initiative. He's presented it, legally advertised, and done all the due diligence that the city is required to do. We'd love for you to expound a little bit, but like I said, we're not presenting tonight. We are ready to move forward on this item, but we love you. I greatly appreciate you coming. I know it's kind of short notice, but to answer any questions from our constituents and maybe even additional questions from the council.
Okay. Well, very quickly, my firm, Tanel Springer Walsh & Associates, was engaged by the City of Stockbridge last summer to prepare an update to their to your LCI plan. ARC requires an update to the plan every 5 years, and then a significant update every 10 years, the purpose of which is to make the City of Stockbridge eligible for certain transportation investment dollars that can be used for town center and center city Stockbridge type redevelopment. So we worked with the community, in fact, engaging nearly 600 residents, businesses, and property owners in the community, including, as you may know, many of you up there, on what I think is a plan that truly reflects the variety of interests in the city, the variety of types of residents and businesses and property owners, and very importantly, creates a consensus-based master plan for what Stockbridge is and can become over the next 25 years. The plan lays out recommendations for completing the town center, where we are today, for transportation improvements such as sidewalks, bike trails, intersection improvements, and it even talks about how we as a community are going to deal with our aging population. Things like new senior facilities, potential shuttle bus services, and then very importantly, even creating places where people who are aging and want to stay in the community can do so in dignity. The plan lays out all of those, as you know, in a 118-page document, the meat of which is an action plan at the end of it that talks about all the different projects. It lays out their cost, potential funding sources, and very importantly, potential implementation parties, recognizing that anything in that plan is, of course, up to the City Council to determine whether or not you want to implement it as a city. And so I'm here tonight to ask your support of the plan. By voting to adopt the plan, we will essentially fulfill the requirements of our contract. We will submit the final LCI plan to the Atlanta Regional Commission. That will enable you, the city, to be reimbursed for certain monies that you've already spent to prepare the plan. But then more importantly, it will make you, as the City of Stockbridge, eligible for transportation implementation dollars when the call for projects comes out in 2013. So I'd love to answer any questions you may have about it. Again, it's a plan that has reflected in my mind a very broad cross-section of constituents in the community, and something that I hope you as a mayor and council are very proud of, because I think it does honestly and accurately reflect the many interests in your community.
I think you've done a great job with it there, and again, I apologize. This is again one of those that fell off the radar from the former city administrator who couldn't find anything, but when I called you, we found I understand that we could have lost $50,000 on this. Mr. Miller pointed that out. But, I was waiting for the, if you will, some return documents, but we didn't get them here, so you provided it here, and I sent it to the council with all your stuff on it there, and I asked y'all to do your due diligence and please read it, because this is a $100,000 document, and I wouldn't want it to reflect the spelling and mispronouncing and misguidance on there. From what I understand, you didn't get any input from the council. I submitted you 12 things that I saw, and I think you did a job of avoiding. I mean, some of those were administrative spellings, roads and stuff on it there. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, what y'all have there, you had 4 things that basically, can you read off or?
Yeah, essentially, as you all know, we presented a draft plan in March to the citizenry of Stockbridge, and it basically included all the recommendations in the plan. Based on the comments I received from Mayor Stewart, he has recommended 4 modifications to the document based on his review of it. One is to remove the proposed Clark and Gardner Park underpass. Some of you may remember that in the previous LCI there was a discussion of tunneling under the railroad tracks so you could bike or walk from one part to another. He asked me, as noted in the addendum form, to remove that project as being not relevant. The other project that was recommended to amend was to change the proposed Davis Road multi-use trail to a sidewalk. I think that's a very minor change. As a city council, if you ended up finding more room or determining that you wanted to do a wider trail, you can certainly do that. ARC is not going to hold that against you because it's 3 feet difference we're talking about. And then the mayor also requested to remove the proposed Rock Quarry Road extension or bypass from the LCI. The reason being that previously DOT had indicated that they had some concerns about that, and so he had recommended that removal. And then finally, the 4th proposed change, which in my mind is again really grammatical more than anything, he recommended that we add a specific project unspecified about redevelopment of former police station property, which is already in the plan, but we didn't just call it out as a line item. So those are the 4 essential changes in my mind.
Okay, thank you. Good call. Any questions?
What is the time frame that this council need to approve the update?
Well, when I talked to ARC, they usually have an LCI plan adopted within 6 months of completion. They said sooner the better, but they don't have a dead timeline. They told me that the city of Atlanta has taken as many as 9 to 10 months sometimes. So they said as long as Stockbridge doesn't take longer than that, it's fine, but from their perspective, they would like to have it sooner rather than later, but they don't have a fixed deadline. Now, the only issue is if ARC does do a call for projects and Stockbridge doesn't have the plan adopted, you won't be eligible to apply for federal funding. So that is really your only fixed deadline. And they said they may do it at the end of this year or they might do it in the first quarter of 2013. They're not sure yet. They want to see how everything goes, including the vote this month.
Mr. Stump.
Kev, I want to just go on the record again, telling you how much I appreciate the hard work, the effort, the broad-based community input that you were able to receive. And as you know, I was probably one of the severest critics on the front end of it, and I'm one of your biggest fans and champions of it here on the back end. So please thank all of your folks and appreciate all the hard work that went into putting this plan together.
Thank you very much.
And if I will, just to clarify for the residents, citizens, the first one he talked about removing of the proposed Gardner Park Trail underpass, and the reasons why I put in there was one was taken off of what we just passed, the short-term work program that went to the ARC as well, so we have conflicting documents, I believe. This project hasn't been abandoned because it was unsafe, unwanted, and not needed. And if it's installed, it becomes a criminal magnet. Also, the tunnel under the Norfolk Southern Railroad to connect existing parks on page 95 of us. This project would provide pedestrians and bicyclists with a safe connection between Clark Community Park and Cochran Park. They tried this in Griffin and shut it down as well as because of location lighting and criminal activity. It was tried again in Northern Land Server, and they too wished that they had not built it. So that was my reasoning that I was put on there for that one. The redesignation of the proposed Davis pedestrian facilities as a sidewalk rather than multi-use trail. We really kind of got caught with that one. We just did a windshield drive-by the other day down through there, and I didn't realize and we were talking about an 8 foot is what they consider a trail or down through there, and I think our plans call for it. We're talking about 5 foot instead of.
I didn't distinguish what width, we just looked at the overall layout of the design.
But that was the reason why I said we're already doing a Davis Shield road thing, and their proposals on it there is more sidewalk than it is trail. And then the third one is the remove the proposed rock quarry road extension. Again, the city is currently exploring this project has been abandoned and take off of our STP as well. We received a letter on the 21st of October from GDOT Todd Long recommending that this project not be included in the department's work program and that GDOT not participate financially in the implementation of this project. Planning analysis was based upon a stated need of moving traffic away from existing East Atlanta Road. They found that the current traffic flow in East Atlanta roads do not show unacceptable levels of congestion, and traffic volumes on these routes are not growing in any way that would indicate future traffic problems. And so that was, again, all the other stuff with it down through there. That's the reason why I put the reasons for that on there. And then, again, I just asked you to put something in there about that when I was reading it, and I appreciate your clarification of the calming devices. We got, I think what I didn't know, you said the calming devices was traffic bumps in Anderson Park.
That's correct.
But we have installed 3 or 4 this year over in Avian Forest, and there's a couple other communities that we think we just owe you that update if you get what that is. Okay.
May I ask one question?
Sure.
Because I'm the person who's going to have to change this depending on how you vote. Would it be amenable to the council if rather than completely strike the bypass, we still recommend that if development occurs in that area, those road segments are put in? Because the one thing about that is that this town center project is ever developed, it gives a back access to it. So my recommendation to you, of course, please do as you wish, is that we take it off as a DOT project, even perhaps as a city project, but we indicate that from your perspective, if development occurs, that we do want some sort of access in that area. Because one of the key tenets from the LCI was creating multiple route options, even if it's not for commuters, even if it's not for people driving through. I think long-term it would be something that could benefit the community.
I think that's a good suggestion, because it's hard to deny GDOT's study, but.
Yeah, we'll take it off as GDOT, City of Stockbridge. We'll turn it from white, which means publicly funded, to yellow, which means built with private development efforts. Thank you. Assuming we don't know it.
Any questions? So do we have a motion to accept to approve the resolution? To approve the resolution for the Livable Center as an issue.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution
With those proposed changes or no changes?
with the proposed changes that Caleb indicated.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, Harold. Item number 7, we have truck movement to Mr. Hawkshurst is not here. And number 8, Georgia Spot. Reference legal opinions, follow up and open records requests, and city appointments, resumes, city applications, and e-verified credentials, vetting, and forensic audit.
We could legal might how to handle it.
Steve,
Can you hear me? No. Okay.
y'all hear okay back there, too? No. Talk a little, just hold it right to your mouth.
Okay, man. Please fix it. Listen, I'm here tonight to deal with my open records request. I've been having some issues with securing information and documents. I'm not going to go into any detail, but there's still some documents outstanding. And this is month 7 now that I've been dealing with city appointments, for instance, basically are lacking resumes. The applications are very minuscule in terms of credentials. And basically, you know, I hate to tell you this, but these applications are not legal, in my opinion, because I don't know how you vet these people. How do you go through your credentials? Somebody explain that to me, please. How do you vet your appointments?
No one? To be more specific.
Yeah, I mean, if you are being appointed for a city position, what committee handles that? What's the procedure for it? And what documents do you ask the person to submit so that you can get hired?
You want to talk about a specific,
No, nothing
well,
specific.
because that actually would be different depending on what level of whom is being hired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you have a committee that handles it?
Let me, again, there's different levels.
It doesn't matter. I mean, I think that there has to be vetting.
Well, okay, my vetting for mayor's nominations, I go through a list, I turn around and send out, we've got applications come in, then I check them out on my own. You know, we can get it refined down, we'll do a criminal background check, but I go through many sources, networking and stuff to build a database of people, and that's how my appointments that I've turned around and I don't have one single source or anything. I kind of throw the net out for anybody and everything, and then when I get them in, I start screening them, and if they don't meet the qualifications that's in our job descriptions, they're automatically eliminated.
And so there's no official city council committee that deals with the issues that you're not involved with.
But
Positions.
I believe we are in the process of rewriting our personnel policies and procedures. And Jack, you can answer that. I think, is that addressed in there, how we're going to do it, or?
Mr. Mayor, I believe that, well, I understand Mr. Espada may not agree with this. I believe Mr. Alicon is correct. It depends on the position.
What level?
Because there are procedures contained in the code and the charter with regard to the qualifications for certain positions. There may not be those same procedures with regard to other positions. So it does depend upon the position. There's not a general answer to that question.
Well, I'm not asking for a general answer to the question. I just was hoping that there was some process, a system in place that we can let people in to be transparent. You know, right now we're missing some resumes and applications for some people who have been appointed.
Be specific.
Yes, I can be specific. For instance, Mr. Miller.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that, because I wanted you to speak to me on that matter. Okay? You've been misinformed by the mayor.
By who?
By the mayor. The mayor has Mr. Milliron's resume. He has had it since April of last year. He has sat here and told you and this whole constituency of our citizenry that this council has held back Mr. Milliron's resume. Well, again, sir, I'm going on record with everybody here. That is an absolute lie. I will provide that for you to clarify anything that you may not understand that I'm trying to convey to you. So let me say something. You want his resume? Ask the mayor. He has it.
I've asked the right person to get it for me, which is the city clerk. And she could not provide it.
That's correct, because the mayor takes resumes through a different email address, and he does not allow it to be stored. As for our last city clerk, which she is president, Vanessa Holiday, conveyed to me early when we first started our vetting for a city administrator, before Mr. Stewart, Mayor Stewart, appointed our past city administrator, Ray Gibson, he was diligently looking. I got a note here. He received 156 resumes. That process consisted of Mr. Harold, myself, Ray, Vanessa, sitting down with the mayor. He brought to us 12 resumes. And actually, Mr. Mayor, I have to correct you on one thing. You did not provide us with a background check for Mr. Bruce Sutton. But let me continue, please. After that, we all in that committee, as you're now talking about, brought it down to 6. Out of that 6, council may correct me here, what some of the language I can use. They were substandard. There was embezzlers, there was child molesters, and there was, I forget the other, but there were 3 very horrendous people that made it through the mayor's vetting process. Now, Mrs. Holliday is here, and she said that she was concerned, okay, as to how the city is receiving, storing, and documenting resumes. She said that she is, at that time, the custodial clerk of all records coming in or out of this city. Just as you said, Mr. Spider, you talked to our city clerk, she doesn't have that record. You know why? Because he's holding it. As he is under 156. Okay? She is not lying. Mrs. Vasquez is not misinterpreting to you, nor did Mrs. Holliday inform you. She doesn't have the records. The city does not officially have the records. The mayor does.
No, let me
address that. I was never asked as clerk for Mr. Millar's resume.
That's correct. I'm talking about the other resume.
Okay.
Thank you. You are correct. I want to make sure.
In fact, when the position became available, when it was time to appoint, he should have submitted a new resume.
But let me because again, we have Councilmember distorted. I have Mr. Millar's resume when he applied for city administrator. But he was in that substandard category because he didn't meet the minimum qualifications published in the position. So you can't take people, so I take all 156 people's resumes applying for city administrator and put them to be for resumes for finance director or treasurer, whatever they're calling them. Those are totally 2 different things. You can find his resume online, but we have no resume that he applied or they used for his job that I have ever been presented for the treasurer. So that's a distortion of facts. It's there. You're darn right it's there. He was in that 156 stack as city administrator, which he didn't qualify, didn't make the cut.
Well, my obligation as a citizen of this city and a taxpayer is that I want transparency. And I have to go to the people who are responsible for the information in the city, which is the city clerk. That's my open records request. I don't have to be searching for people who have resumes. That's not my job. It's your job to make it available to you. That's your responsibility as a city council to get me the information I need. Right now, I'm in the process of evaluating what I'm going to do because I haven't gotten a lot of cooperation from the bureaus. And so basically, when you go and do an open records request, and you're showing everybody's resumes and all their applications through this Vasquez, and then you're missing pieces of information from other people, and then these people get appointed, what's up with that? You know, I don't think that's a fair way to vet some professional people here. What if these people are not qualified to be in those positions? And you're going ahead and vetting them. I don't know how you vet them because I still haven't heard how you do this. But I have an obligation to have that information, and I'm not going to stop until I get it. Period. And I want first of all, second, speaking too much. I want to commend Councilman Thomas and Cochran for not getting involved in personal attacks front of the city residents. Because I think that we have to be able to respect each other and not be calling people names, because we can basically decide to disagree, but not to be out there disrespecting people. You're all basically volunteers, you're elected officials, the residents have put you in office, but you need to be an example to us, that you're going to be about protocol and being about treating your fellow elected officials with honor and respect. And I'm kind of shocked to hear all these things about calling people liars and all that. I think that's an unfortunate comment to make to anybody out there. Because just like you like respect, you know, the mayor needs to be respected. This stuff gets out, you're not going to have any companies moving in here because you folks cannot get together and make a decision.
Ms. Vasquez, do you know of any outstanding open record requests that Mr. Spotter has failed to receive from the city?
No, sir, I actually have all the details of the response.
Council, are you aware of anything that we're not doing legally to provide documents to Mr. Spotter?
I'm not aware.
Well, I got an issue, and I'm going to be frank with you. I got an email here between you and the mayor. And it's talking about, let me read this if you would. This is from George to Lee. Stay focused, take the high road. You ready to compromise? I will meet with Councilman Thomas and see him Friday. You can count on me. I will secure a copy of the proposed plan. Stay well, George. George, thanks for all your emails. Appreciate your concerns and support. From the mayor, I will delete your message because I do not trust and believe they are monitoring my emails. When I see you, I will give you my personal contact information. We will need you there Monday night at 7:30 to support the Stockbridge City Association. When they ask for the sidewalks from this food depot to South Perry Street to 2nd Street, they've been asking for it for 10 years, but to no avail. My phone's at Thomas is pushing very hard to get this done. He needs all the support he can get. And also here, is you're encouraging to have the mayor stay on top of Mrs. Vasquez.
That's correct.
I want to make sure that was ready, because you talk about open records and transparency, you're talking about having dialogue that's not going through the city channels. So what's the, I mean, I'm just trying to point out, make sure we have. Okay.
And you know that information you have is accurate.
Is this accurate?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good.
I'm not going to hide from that.
Okay.
The fact of the matter is that I haven't gotten all my information, and if I have to, listen to me now, if I have to go to the Attorney General's office and get a mitigation complaint going, I will do that. And we'll see what you gave me and didn't do. Because obviously we need an approval from the Attorney General's office on this, because you folks are not transparent, period.
I've asked our council, I've asked our clerk, so thank you so much.
I can show you that there are missing documents. There are no...
I know there are missing documents. The mayor's been deleting a lot of them.
Mr. Mayor.
I'm not going to go there. You know, you folks are supposed to be working together.
We learn very fast.
Mr. Mayor.
That's all you can expect. The only thing I have an issue with is this name call. My God, you know, it's inappropriate. And, you know, I'm going to give this city council and city clerk 3 business days to get me all my documents. I'm going to listen for you. I'm going to make sure you get copies of it.
I appreciate it.
Okay? Because if we are failing with vetting and putting people in positions they're not qualified, we, the citizens, are going to suffer. You know, you can't just put people in positions because they're friends or they talk to you in some restaurant and all of a sudden, you know, they get positions. And that's not the way this is. This city needs all the help it can get. It needs professional people in this government. Yes, sir. Mr. Thomas.
Mr. Spotter.
Yes.
I'm responding because my name came up in the email. You attended the community forum on sidewalk issues. You have been
Absolutely not.
Thank you.
You know, I'm about, you know, I've been in business now for 35 years, and I know what I'm doing. I do not want to hurt the city by filing complaints or lawsuits. I'm not going to do it. I'm coming to you in the 7th month of the year on an open records request. What's taking so long? If you have something to hide, then I can understand. Because then what we're dealing with here is that people are not giving out the information they should. And it's not going to happen in terms of, I have an obligation, I made a commitment to this community to get down to the facts. And I'm not going to stop, I'm giving myself a year to get what I want. And I'm just telling you that it's not working. The vetting thing, the E-Verify applications have not been formalized. Everybody who is appointed does not have an E-Verify application in the record. Personnel department doesn't have one for anybody who's been appointed or has a contract. And that's a violation of the E-Verify law in the state of Georgia. And you need to fix that. Because if we're subjected to be able to, you know, not put in American citizens in jobs in this city, we are failing the whole E-Verify process. We have to be about doing the right thing for the Americans in this community and for the people who are looking to get jobs and contracts, because that's first. If you don't want to do it, go in the deal, it's not going to force you. This is a voluntary program. But you're allowing yourself to look like you don't really care about the workers of this community. And they come first. They live here, and they should be able to have access to jobs and contracts. My final thought is the whole issue of forensic audit done by Sutton. I don't have a lot of information on that, but I would like to know who can help me with that question, answer that question. Because I understand that he was hired to do a management survey, and there were some issues that were brought to the state of Georgia. So
I believe you can get all that through the open records, through there, what the contracts look, all that stuff.
are you saying that that exists? Study? The study exists?
You see, you're saying it, yes, it is.
Well, I'm going to put that as an extra request on my open records to get the information. People have tried to help the city, and they have been, I don't know what happened to Mr. Sutton. I don't know if he finished his survey. I don't know if he got paid. I don't know how much he got paid. But the fact of the matter, he was here for a number of months trying to resolve it. And we ran into a situation where basically he either was forced out or somebody tried to eliminate him from his farm. So, I'm a little upset right now because I don't think this is good government. I really don't. I had Richard send me an email a number of months ago when he was not a city council person, telling me that he was going to go forward with a forensic audit. And that was a situation where he was not a city council member at the time. So my thing is, what's going on with that?
Mr. Spotter, the forensic audit was completed under the auspices of the previous council, and all of that information is a matter of public record. It's accessible to you, and you can see.
I'd like to see it, but you know, the thing you need to understand between you and I is I thought we had a relationship.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if I could, in light of Mr. Spotter's request, if I could get from you what it is that you contend you have not gotten. Because what I think may have happened, I don't know this, but I'm thinking with regard, for example, the question about applications. If there's not a requirement of an application, there may not be one. And that's why what position you're asking about makes a difference. So if you could let me know, or let Ms. Vasquez know what she'll send to me, what responses specifically you are contending have not been responded to, then I'll certainly make sure that we get you an answer.
I'll take you at your word. Yeah, I think what I'd like to do is deal with your law.
You're welcome.
And put the documents together and tell you what, the issues are. I am not trying to, it's like being an actor.
Can we wrap it up, folks? Anybody's want to move on?
You get so tired.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to do the right thing here. I think the citizens of this city need answers to questions. And I would like to see better behavior in the process. Thank you very much. And have a good day.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Here's a good question, please. Ms. Vasquez, has Mr. Espada picked up everything that he's previously requested?
Yes, and the request, the current request that you actually asked for, anything that I have was in conference.
Thanks very much.
And just address what the email that Mr. Alarcon read here. There is nothing. I have checked with all the legal sources right down the line. I, as the Chief Executive Officer, have the right to monitor emails and everything. I have not monitored emails. All the things I've done was to monitor the mailbox that was turned over to me as the city administrator, and I stand by any of the others things on it there. And if there's some charges to be brought against me, I welcome you to bring the charges against me. Jack, you're shaking your head. I see. Oh, I thought you wanted to say something. Okay. Mr. Allen, you got something to say?
Move forward.
Okay. Okay, the next item is council discussion items, evaluation of vacant, soon to be vacant city property presented by Council Member Richard Steinberg.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of council and citizens, I have a prepared statement that I'm going to read from this evening, just to make sure I have all of my facts down, so please bear with me. This evening, I'd like to bring forth an important discussion item. As you're all aware, the city of Stockbridge has been approached to provide its facility at little to no cost for use by the Boys Club and Girls Club Steering Committee. We've also been internally approached for potential uses of these same buildings by several internal city departments. Other outside organizations, as yet unknown, may also have an interest in using the space that's under discussion. As chair of the Stockbridge Building Committee, this item is addressed specifically at our June 19th meeting. Our city attorney, Mr. Linkus, had raised several issues which must be addressed prior to any consideration of donation of physical space or property. City properties that are presently vacant or soon to be vacant include a fire station, a police station, and an old arcade building. The next step in the evaluation process, as specified by our attorney, is to determine a current financial value of each property under consideration. This means both the present value commercial selling price of land and property in aggregate and per square foot, and as well as a present commercial value leasehold price of the land and property in value in aggregate and per square foot. In an effort to maintain transparency on this evaluation process, I would like to go on the public record indicating that both my wife and Mr. Alarcon's wife are both licensed realtors or real estate agents and are not involved in the sale or lease of commercial property. Based upon that information, I'd like to request council's approval for Mr. Linkus or Mr. Hancock as an independent source to move forward with the first phase, and that would be obtaining all value equation of all property for consideration. I want to keep this entire process at arm's length, and I want to keep it moving forward as well. Furthermore, I would like to ask that Ms. Bushman, who is the third member of our building committee, be the point of contact with the city attorney regarding all financial aspects of property evaluation. I, as committee chair, will continue the entire process to fruition, minus the securing of the financial property values. So, prior to moving this on to our city attorney, I'd like to open it for discussion for other council members.
Any discussion? One note you put on there, the fire station came about by the former city administrator when he was at one of the Boys Club, Girls Club. Anybody remember Boys Club, Girls Club? Sorry, Ms. Quinn. But one of the meetings, Mr. Gibson brought that up. That was a surprise to everybody when he nominated the same city. So I thought when the former city administrator spoke that he knew what the plan was or whatever the city was, but he misspoke. If you saying there are people, other internal ones that are wanting to use it on it there. I, as the acting city administrator and public works director, I don't see a need for them currently at the present if the Boys Club, Girls Club is wanting to use it for 3 years or something like that. We've gotten by this many years, Harold, with what we got down there, and we're finding we got a lot of surplus stuff, but we got to get our 100% inventory done first down there that we can move out, which will make a lot of room available down there. But I think in the buildings, you might want to do an inventory of the buildings and see what we can move out and make space available. So make sure we give it a fair evaluation across the board. Any other comments?
Make a motion to support Richard's, Councilman Steinberg's motion that the attorney move forward on the assessment of properties.
Is that a resolution, Jack?
It would be a resolution. Might I ask a question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We don't have the skills to value property within our organization, so it would require that we employ somebody. Now, I think we can employ an appraiser under a professional services agreement, but I just need to know what you want us to do specifically. And the employing of an appraiser would require the council's consent and approval. Is that what do you want us to go to somebody and try to make arrangements to have those valued?
Yes, but that's
What does that bring in that
just my conversation with Mr. Lakis. And what I'm trying to do, Mr. Hancock, is to move this process forward. I understand the need and the value of securing a Boys Club, Girls Club, but just trying to make it work through the correct process.
We'll have the answer. We'll have proposals for you at the next meeting.
Thank you.
So we're not doing a resolution on this. We'll do the resolution for Freeman, Mathis, and Gary to proceed with appraiser and stuff.
To bring back proposals and any other recommendations, I guess, legally that we may have as to how you proceed with those buildings.
Okay. Thank you. And that's second motion. Mr. Steinberg's motion, your second. Any more discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Thomas?
I appreciate Mr. Steinberg's due diligence in moving forward with this issue. He and I have talked about that, and I appreciate that. But my concern right now is if you have to, Jack, if you have to outsource that, are we incurring any costs?
I can't imagine an appraiser to do any work for us for free. I don't know.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor of the motion that Freeman, Mathis, and Gary do the back rate for the bring back proposals and that with the company? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Opposed? Okay, at this time we have public comments allowed to voice the city related concerns, opinions, etc. that are not listed on the agenda during this portion of the meeting. All resolutions speaking club must sign in to the city clerk prior to beginning the meeting. You must sign your name, address, and phone number. You have 3. You'll be able to address the mayor and council for 3 minutes. First one, we have Ms. Jones, all legal way. The subject is the back to school program. Eric, do you want to come? Sure. I think that's part of your.
Good afternoon. I'm Trinidad Jones, and I'm working along with board member Eric Charles. And he tells me that the Stockbridge Back to School event that takes place July the 14th, and we moved it from this area, where actually it's taking place at Stockbridge High School. And I'm personally, first of all, I want to say thanks to Mr. Steinberg and to Mr. Thomas, because they have supported us by providing back to school supplies. But last year we had approximately 3,000 people, including children. And at the end of the day, we were not able provide school supplies to every child that was out there. But it really did show us that there is a vast need. And we're thinking that this year would be more of the same. So we're asking each of you if you can, not to write us a check personally, but if you can provide some school supplies, pencils, paper, notebook, whatever, it would be greatly appreciated.
Charles.
Sure. Again, thank you for allowing us to come before you again. Again, on a lighter note, this is a great thing for the community. It's something, a way we add value to our community and build that base in which this community will prosper. Like she said earlier, we were expecting last year, we were expecting about 500 people. We had over 3,000 come out. And there is a need right here in our community. And anything that we can do to strengthen our community, I feel that we should jump on it and do. So again, if you guys could find it in your hearts or find it in your wallets, if you can find it in your wallets, to actually help us in this effort, joint effort to provide for our community. We had some sponsors that were not able to commit to the level in which they committed last year. So, that's why we're asking everyone to join in with us.
Any questions? Mr. Steinberg.
Mr. Charles, Ms. Jones, I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate the effort that you put forth last year. I know my wife and I came away from the event very rewarded and very fulfilled, and yet very concerned that there weren't enough supplies for all the people who were there. So I believe Mr. Charles is aware that I did poll council to try and find a way for us to get some funds for it. And I don't know if there's a budget item or not, or if there's a way that we can appropriate some funds as council to. But I'd sure like to again bring that forth and move it forward, please.
Okay. Any other questions?
Would you just iterate for citizens date, time, and place, and it's just my pleasure to help the way that I would say to you.
Thank you for that question. Again, it's this Saturday, the 14th, between the hours of 10 a.m. and 1. This Saturday, it's coming up hot, fast, just like this room is. It's the 14th, and it's at Stockbridge High School. Last year, we were overwhelmed here, again, with 3,000 people, so we moved into a bigger location so we can have more room for parking and people in and out. We did, the fire department called me today, said we'll be there, so we're more than happy to have you guys come out and join us too at the event. Again, Saturday between the hours of 10 a.m. and 1 at Stockbridge High School.
Mr. Charles?
Yes.
Do you have the book bags like you did last year? Have you secured those and you just need supplies?
Well, we do have some book bags. We don't have as many as we had last year. So that's a big concern for us. So if you have book bags or school supplies, I'm sure anything that you can add to the pot will go along.
Are you going to put the items in like thank you bags, maybe plastic thank you bags?
If we have to, we're going to get the job done, and again, whatever we need to do to make things happen, we're going to make it happen.
Mr. Steinberg. Mr. Miller, I know you and I have spoken about this before, but is there any possible way that there's a line item somewhere that we have some funds available that at least this evening we might be able to take a vote on and allocate to this worthy cause?
Mr.
If they're 501c3, then so if they're a charity, the city can make a contribution.
Sorry.
If they're a 501c3, then the law would permit the city to make a contribution if the funds are available to do that.
And you get that. Okay. Other questions? What we're going to do, what do you?
I'd like to ask a clarification from Mr. Miller.
Mr. Charles.
Councilman Steinberg, in reference to the follow-up email that I said, there is a, under the city administrator, with council approval, there is a fund available that would certainly accommodate this. City attorney has mentioned 501c3. We certainly also have in-stock items as well, with city logo on it as well for promoting the city, so that is also an option.
What fund is it that's available under?
You have a line item, it's not specific for this. There is every department, just like you asked about stormwater with the gutters. There is a generic fund for 5,000 miscellaneous. There was 3,500 left in that. Same thing in administration. There's a miscellaneous because every single year there's amounts that come up that you didn't anticipate in the budget. So if the council elected to direct the mayor to tap those, well, certainly those funds are available.
Mr.
Stein.
Mr. Hancock, would that require a resolution, or is that something we just vote upon?
Who's going?
David, I'm trying to, the money is available for direction by the department head that it falls under.
Yes, sir.
So it would be mayor's decision if he as the acting city administrator and that money is there. So it would not require a vote to do that. And I don't know that you could direct him to do that with a vote. Does the council have a miscellaneous item within their control? They have to amend the budget somehow to do that, but the money is available in the mayor's line item, in the city administrator's line item.
There's two ways to do it, and that is there's an executive budget and then there is a administration budget. So the mayor has access to the miscellaneous there.
Two different sources of money.
Correct.
So like we don't have a city administrator, we're saving that money, so we can take that money
No.
from that
No,
money.
that's not what they're saying. That's not what they're saying. No. According to what Mr. Miller is saying, I believe, and David, you correct me if I'm wrong, is that there is a line item under the city administrator's, portion of the budget for miscellaneous that has $3,500 left in it. You, as the acting city administrator, can designate how that money is spent for the purposes, for city purposes.
Okay.
As the mayor, you also have a line item under the executive budget that has $5,000 in it that you direct.
Okay. Got it. But I need some guidance from the council.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah. Mr. Thomas.
my recommendation under your authority, if you would, to see fit to make a donation to this cause.
Mayor Stewart,
Mr. Steinberg.
I would ask that we go further and make sure that the funds get immediately to Mr. Charles for application, since the event is coming up Saturday.
But again,
So, yes, I'm asking to go forward with it.
I got a type from Mr. Thomas and you to go forward with it, but I think we need it now.
It's your discretion.
Y'all make a suggestion to me.
Are you talking about the amount?
The money amount. Don't give me a money amount. You can. Well, let's do it.
Whatever it is, it won't be enough.
Mark suggested 5, you said 5. Everybody wishing to do it?
Everything process is 501c3.
Okay. We will take care. And any more discussion? There's no resolution, turn around and did Jack, you want to draft that up? No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking, I got it.
And then who would we provide the EIN number and all the information to? I can bring that to Marge and present it to you.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next we have Marilyn Flynn for 521 Country Club Drive regarding Hector Torres. Give them the microphone.
Steering Committee, I want to thank you for moving ahead on that as fast as you can. And of course, we hope that you will be able to furnish us some space to get started as soon as possible. And I came here tonight because I got that email that you read, Councilman Alacon, and it came from Hector Torres. It really upset me. I did not plan on coming tonight because it's getting harder and harder for me to get from my car up here. But that bothered me. Since it followed an article in the paper about the goats, and I didn't like the tenor of that article. It was belittling, I think, to the city of Stockbridge. I know other cities are using goats to keep weeds down and so on. But I didn't like the comments of some of the staff that were quoted in that paper. Now, Hector Torres was asking that we have more open records, that we be more open on transactions, and yet Hector Torres signed that email anonymously. And I think it was purposely to send out propaganda that would degrade the city of Stockbridge. Now, if Hector Torres is here this evening and would identify himself, I will apologize. But I think what he has done has not been a service to this community. And I would hope that you will be able to find out who Hector Torres is and help him, because it's not doing us any good. Thank you very much.
Mr. Allen.
And I could just go on record, Marilyn, I appreciate your comments, I truly do. I wanted to make sure that you knew that the Hector Torres piece has absolutely nothing to do with what I read.
Hector Torres, that was one of the items.
Okay, well, that's not where I'm at.
Okay, but it came in my email, and I don't know what his distribution or her distribution list is, but I think it's very destructive. I would much rather have an open discussion. Let me point out, when I go to the Board of Commissioners meetings, the commissioners respond to my questions. And I don't understand this policy that we have here in Stockbridge, that you folks are not allowed to respond to our questions. I really wish you would give some consideration to that. Then discussions and information would be much more open. This secret behind the scenes is really destructive. And I want to see us move it forward in Stockbridge. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to indicate to Ms. Marilyn, I'm in total agreement with you. We have a slew of people, the Southside Divas, the Candace Raglins, that harass us and heckle us with emails constantly, and yet no one has ever come up and identified themselves during any meeting since I've been in January. So it's not just the one, it's many of them that are hiding under veils. Thank you.
And that is the end of the public comments. One thing I have for the council, I have a nomination here of Ms. Mildred Reed is the mayor's nominee to the ethics board. She was going to be here, but she called. She had some church meeting tonight she had to be involved in, but it doesn't require a vote or anything. But I want to let, we do have one of our ethics board members, Linda Gladys here. And Ms. Beasley's here. Yeah, there she is. Ms. Beasley's here. So we have two of the four that are here. But there's copies of it. If y'all have some sense, I'd be glad to make copies of it and give everybody to Ms. Mildred Reed, according to the ethics board. And with that being done, the public comments and that, we go into executive session. Understand that now?
That's correct.
Which ones are those? A, B, or C, or D? Are we going?
B.
E is to discuss the delivery point.
And D.
Let's see. Okay, so we have a motion to convene executive session for item B, discuss and deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal, periodic evaluation, or rating of public officer or employee. C is to consult or meet with the legal counsel pertaining to pending potential litigation, settlement claims, administrative proceedings, or other judicial actions, or to be brought by or against the city or an officer or employee in which the officer or employee may be directly involved. And D is a staff meeting held to investigate purpose under duties and responsibilities. I have a motion to convene executive session.
I will make the motion to convene to executive session.
I have a second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? 2, 3. Opposed? Abstained? Okay, we will convene the executive session. And we'll be back. Okay. Do I have a motion to reconvene the executive session?
I see.
Have a second?
Mr. Mayor, it's not to reconvene in executive session.
To reconvene the regular session.
Thank you.
Motion to reconvene the regular session. Mr. Steinberg, you still for that one? Do I have a second?
A second.
Push. All in favor? Now, I need a motion for someone to sign that, the mayor signs the affidavit. What was discussed back there. Nobody wants to make a motion, we'll discuss that.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask that the mayor be authorized to sign affidavit stating that all that was discussed in executive with B, C, and D of the printed executive session agenda.
Do I have a second?
Council.
All in favor? I vote.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Alcott.
I'd like to amend the agenda this time to put 3 items on. One item will be Winona Williams training. The other will be censure, and the other will be allegations of ticket fixing in our municipal court.
The first one is
Yes.
second one is censor, third one is to take it.
Mr. Mayor, I could not hear what the first item was.
Okay. Mr. Alcott, go ahead.
For the record, it's Winona Williams training. His first item is
Winona Williams.
Mm-hmm. Training.
I'd like to ask the council support in allowing Mrs. Williams to have her training that's been requested and required, and any additional support that can be given her or any of our staff and our employees. I would certainly want to support that, but in this particular instance, I'd like to ask support in allowing her to get her training.
Do I have a second?
Council.
Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Thomas.
I'd like to ask Mr. Miller concerning the requirements that is required of her in that position. Would you elaborate on that for us, please?
Thank you, Councilman Thomas. Ms. Winona Williams is our occupational tax clerk. As you can imagine, there are regulatory changes that occur with occupational taxes and business licenses throughout the year. This is the annual training class for the occupational tax business employees that are required to obviously regulate and issue business licenses. She is not required to have any minimum annual in-service training for those employed in occupational tax business licenses for municipal and county government and state government.
But you said this is not required training?
That is correct, sir.
It is not required, but you're recommending.
That is correct. As her supervisor, yes, I am recommending that she goes to it. Every year, as I stated, there are regulatory changes in the law. In fact, I've been provided, even as of recent, some GMA proposed changes. These are discussed very much like the training that this council attends. That is not mandatory training. You do it because it's in-service training. So in order to stay abreast of the most current laws, regulations, you attend training.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Allen?
I would like to clarify what I've said to the council in Mr. Milliron's and I's discussion of this issue. I misinterpreted that it was a state mandated, but that it is an annual update requirement, just as you and I and other council members do go to continuing education as service for our positions. So for that, I'd like to apologize to council. I still would like to support her in her annual updated education training.
Thank you for that clarification. We got a motion by Mr. Allen, we got a second by Mr. Cochran. Any more discussion? My only comment on that there was that I did not think it was mandatory or required training. And looking at it there, I mean, I even got some emails in that Mr. Gibson had been working on bringing in some training, leadership and other stuff, training for the staff and that. And that's why that was more cost effective as well to turn around and keep here since it was not mandatory training. I appreciate that. I would disagree with sending her to that training there. We could probably more cost effective train them all right here on site. I talked to them today so they can split them up with half one day and half the other or whatever the training takes. Any other discussion? Okay. So this is a resolution you're proposing?
That one, it has to be a resolution.
It won't be, what is it considered that?
Council can only act by resolution ordinance, so it's going to be one or the other. It's not an ordinance. So
I'd like to make that motion in a resolution, sir.
Okay, as a resolution, so still Mr. Allen has made a motion. Mr. Cochran, you second that for resolution? Okay, all in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Next.
So, Mr. Mayor, I wanted to read into the record this council's, depending on what actions they want to take, I'd like to bring this forward. But I wanted to mention, that censor is actually used in language in our ethics ordinance, and this is not directly associated with that, but I wanted to go on record with this language. Mr. Mayor, in recent months, you have both publicly and privately, both written and communicated verbally, defamed and made libelous statements against former City Administrator Ray Gibson, Treasurer David Miller. Furthermore, you have accused employees of fraud, deception, theft, with such comments as they are robbing us blind. This is a clear pattern of negativity and negative comments that affect the city's working relationships with its professional staff and other persons and agencies. I am of the opinion that your actions have put the city of Stockbridge in financial risk, creating an untenable work environment and damaging the city's relationship with other governmental agencies. So I'm asking you today, in your official capacity as mayor, to publicly and sincerely apologize to Mr. Gibson, Mr. Maryline, and the city employees of our city. Otherwise, altogether without council members, it is the intent to ask our city attorney to draft a censor resolution to denounce your actions, which you have created an untenable work environment by publicly belittling, criticizing both current and former employees, elected officials, and appointed officials. Furthermore, the resolution will direct you to correctly carry out these duties as mayor to adhere to the city charter, city rules, city settlement agreement, and as a common courtesy, work effectively as a member of the city council, and work as your capacity as mayor with state, local, and other government agencies. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this, since, unless you plan on doing that apology this evening, sir.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Well, my discussion is we turn around and this is written not by our, you said this is not written by you, by our legal people. So this is again by a council person wanting to write something on me, and he has a right to, but some of that verbiage in there, I would not want to violate the law, discussing things as settlement and other stuff on it there. So I'm not saying I won't saying I will until I can take your unofficial and unlegal censor statement. I will not make nothing of that until my lawyers have a chance to review. Any more discussion? We have a motion by Mr. Alacon, a second by Bush. Any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Abstained? Thomas. Okay. Mr. Alacon, you got one more.
Yes, sir. This is in a response to a lengthy email I'm sure you received. Did you receive Mrs. Leonard's email this afternoon, sir?
Sure did.
Okay. And this is my response. Mr. Mayor, this was brought to my attention of several council, to my and several council members' attention that you met with court employees on Friday, and that you told them that you had first-hand knowledge, physical evidence, that traffic ticketing and fixing is occurring in our city and has occurred at the municipal court here in Stockbridge. These are serious allegations, and as a city elected officials, we are sworn to uphold all laws, local or otherwise. Therefore, transparency reasons and the responsibility of this council under section 3.12 of the city charter and ordinances call for an immediate inquiry into this matter to be investigated. So I make a motion that the city council directs the city attorney to launch an investigation with any and all investigative services that they need at their disposal to report back to this council as to its findings. And the ordinance, if I may read, is the city council may make inquiries, investigations into the affairs of the city and to the conduct of any department, office, or agency thereof. And for the purpose, it may have subpoena witnesses, administer oaths, take testimony, and require other production of evidence. Any persons who shall refuse, obey the laws, or in other words, exercise the powers of this council, shall be punished as provided by ordinance.
Motion on the resolution.
That's a motion to ask our council to immediately and efficiently get to an investigation into your accusations that our city is and fixing tickets, and that you know want to bring those. We just want you to bring those things forward and let's investigate it, because that's serious statements, and we need to get that cleared up.
Jack, what do you need? What else do you need? You just
It's a resolution. We have to act on the resolution.
Yeah, you just vote on it, we'll prepare the resolution. The resolution, as I understand it, is that the investigation called for will be an investigation effectively of the court department regarding the allegations of ticket fixing.
okay. So I have a motion by Mr. Alacon. Do we have a second? Discussion?
Discussion.
Mr. Thomas.
Councilman Alacon, are you asking for an investigation into the allegations? Is that correct?
We're looking for an investigation bring all possible documents, emails, phone call, any substance of abuse, of allegations of abuse and verifications of such. What we're trying to say is limiting the council to bring in GBI, the Attorney General, whoever. We don't want to limit them. We need to have it looked at.
And Jack, you're saying that you cannot, but the court can.
No. The allegation is because the section says that the city council may make inquiries and investigations into the affairs of the city and the conduct of any department, office, or agency. The allegations are, I'm assuming it's not exactly sure what they are, but as I understand the resolution, the allegations are that there has been ticket fixing going on in the courts. That is that is an investigation of that department.
Okay, by that department.
No, of that department, by the city council.
Okay, so how would we proceed with that?
Well, the code section says that the council may subpoena witnesses, administer oaths, take testimony, and require the production of evidence. My recommendation is the procedure would be that, I think what Councilman Howard is asking is that we make initial inquiry to determine what evidence that we can determine is there on this issue, and we make a recommendation back to you based upon which you will decide whether you're going to conduct an open hearing and subpoena witnesses, etc. That's what I think we're able to do. And at that point, if we find, let's assume that our initial investigation reveals what we believe it is a criminal violation. I think at that point, now we've got an obligation to notify the liaisons that that's the case.
But this started from where? It started from the mayor?
Well,
Is that
we start from.
But I mean, where did this?
Where the allegations
Okay, all right, I missed that. Okay.
Mayor.
Okay. I missed it.
No, basically, I mean, reading into the record, it's an outreach from our clerk that basically outlines the visit and, talks about how, he said numerous things about questioning their integrity and ticket fixing and calling it a kangaroo court, or that he's heard that we have a kangaroo court. I've not heard that but from one person who doesn't even live in the city. But there's a long lengthy email that certainly open records can be presented as to where this basis came from. I'm just responding to an outreach by a staff member.
And
As with the member of this council.
we plan to provide the documents. If they haven't been deleted or destroyed yet. So we have a motion by Mr. Allen, second by Mr. Cochran for this resolution to investigate the ticket fixing. Is there any other discussion?
Let me ask a question.
I want to ask a question.
Do we need a deposition from the person that made the statement that the mayor made the allegation?
We would certainly inquire of that person. And based upon what the mayor said, he apparently has some information that he would provide that would form part of the investigation. So this is not, just to be clear now, this is not an investigation of the mayor.
Yes.
This is an investigation of the department, because that's all you have the authority under this section to investigate.
Any more discussion? All in favor? 3, 4. Opposed? Abstained? Okay. And I think they amended Zoom with the committee updates were scratched. So we have announcements of upcoming meetings and events. Stars Over George, Stars Over Stockbridge movie, The Smurfs, Sunday night the 15th at Dustin Mayor's Back Drive, Sunday the 15th at 7 p.m. Sounds of Summer Stevie G in the Roberts class. The 21st of July, 6 p.m. Upcoming work sessions. Meeting is Tuesday the 7th. That they changed to Monday now. Guys, pass that resolution. Well, that's an ordinance, has to be passed. Okay. I'll just read upcoming work session meeting Tuesday, August 7th at 7 p.m. and upcoming council meeting Monday the 13th at 7 p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So,
Do I have a second?
A second.